I found this video, buy this or build your own, while I was looking at the Arduino projects and stuff like that, and it had a thumbnail said like Linux sucks, and automatically I got drawn in. I haven't watched it. I'm like, let's see what this is about. I think it's about building a computing device or something like that, but yeah, he tends to make a lot of amazing projects. So let's just go into it again. I found like a week ago and I can't remember why. I just remember the thumbnail, Linux sucks, and I was like, Linux sucks on a self-made kind of computer or device, something like that. I'm like, hey, what is this all about? So,
all right, you guys asked for this. This video is for you. This is a CyberDeck that you guys can actually build. After my past like dual screen computer build, I got over 100 comments from people who wanted to build their own or buy that one. Unfortunately, it wasn't safe. You could reach in and like touch the fan, there was exposed power. I just couldn't in good conscience show someone how to do that. This one though is a single 3D print, an off-the-shelf board, off-the-shelf display. This you can actually do yourself, or you can buy this one. I will be listing this on eBay, but watch the full video before you bid because there are some quirks that you should know about. While no money changed hands, I did partner with Icunix, Kadas, KKSB, and Elegoo to make this build happen.
I have no idea who all of those are, but I guess that his demon face will tell me later on, but I think they have something to do with like 2D printing and, you know, IoT devices and stuff like that. He does looks like he's going to be spewing out demons.
And for everyone who wanted this thing to run Linux, it runs Linux, and I hate it, and that's the big issue with this entire build. I'll get to that at the end of this video. It's been a disaster.
Why is it that when when you are watching videos about people wanting other people to use Linux and then they use it, and a lot of times it's like, I hate it, or why did I do this? Why did you want to go through this pain? It's really, really funny that a big portion of it where other people tell other people, especially when the comment section, the fanboys, the fandom of Linux is telling, you know, average people or the people that are not in the computing OSing sphere world to run Linux, they a lot of times have a fucking bad experience. It's really funny.
But to start on a more positive note, this is the Icunix Q66. I confirmed that it's easier to disassemble than the Wormhole keyboard, which I liked but was a pain. Unlike the Wormhole though, there's not enough room to put anything inside. So I put it back together and I designed this piece that clips perfectly onto the back of the keyboard. You'll be able to download this part from my Thingiverse account, see the description below. Now this is a really large print, so I'll be using the net.
Oh, I'm this close to thinking about buying a 3D printer. The only thing that kind of holds me back is I'm living in a one-room apartment. Even though I have lights on, I need more lights, but it's kind of dark here right now. They emit fumes, and I've heard that it's really, really unhealthy for you and stinky. So if any of you guys and girls have any experience with 3D printers and in living with them in like a one-room apartment situation, if it's doable or you really need good ventilation, or it's basically the fumes that I'm a little bit concerned about. I have one brain cell left and I'm kind of protective towards that brain cell. I don't want it to, you know, evaporate into air because I'm sniffing fucking plastic fumes up my ass.
Neptune 3 Plus to print it all in one go, one single piece. This is basically the 3 Pro, but larger. It's like the same thing. If you don't need to go this big, I would just recommend the 3 Pro. I've been able to run the 3 Pro faster, and I think it's a better value. But I did design this originally as a bunch of different pieces, and I had to assemble them all. And then now that I have this big printer, it's a single part, which is way easier. So there is that perk. I ran this print fast, and you'll see it did result in a little bit of Z-wobble, so I sand the surface smooth and then spray paint it to make it look a lot nicer. This took about 6 hours, and it's far from perfect, but it's better than my past builds. Now I take the keyboard, and to attach the two, all I do is take some double stick tape, put it on the print, and then press the...
Yeah, the amount of stuff in my life that I have repaired with double sticky tape, or double-sided tape, or gaffer tape, or what you will, also gaffer tape, or double-sided or double-sticky tape, or what you will call it. You would be surprised, even in professional settings where something has to be fixed and it has to be fast. It's like, how long does it have to hold? Well, maybe a month or stuff like that. I'm like, I have some double-sided tape or double-sticky tape in my toolkit. Here is a roll. If this falls off or go on unseasoned, not unseasoned, unseeded, just use a little bit more of this and it will hold until we get the spare part home. Happened more than I would like to admit.
The two pieces together. It's surprisingly secure. It's not going anywhere, but if you do want to remove this, it won't destroy the keyboard. Onto the internals. I'm using a Kadas Vim 4. This single board computer is the same form factor as a Raspberry Pi. It's
So it's a Raspberry Pi clone.
tiny, but it's more powerful and comes with onboard memory. There's an install wizard that lets you install Android, but I use that wizard to install Linux because my time isn't valuable. I solder leads onto the power button, which is optional, and then it comes with a cooler, but KKSB sent me this nice metal case. I liked the case, but I didn't like the thermal pad. I swapped that for a piece of copper. The other thing about the case is there's no solution for the antenna, so I just routed them outside the case.
It looks like one of the... looks like a robotic bug, with the antenna, like beep, 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 beep.
Now with this case set up and the wire leads going to the power button, it's time to install the board. I feed my USB hub and HDMI cable through these two slots and then slide the board in. Links
Like, this is why I want a 3D printer. You can make all of this amazing shit.
in the description to all of these cables. The exposed cables make the back ugly, but it means you can unplug them and use this as a PC accessory too. Next, I epoxy in a little power button and solder it to the leads of the...
So, I'm certified to work with epoxy, and that shit is toxic way more than you think it is. I know you can go and buy epoxy in your local fucking hardware store and stuff like that, but if you're going to work with it, you basically have to have a fucking spacesuit on you to work with it. It will hurt you, so use protection.
The board, again, this is optional. Definitely the method that I would recommend, but if you do not know how to solder, you actually have a hole that leads all the way to the power button, and you can take like a carbon rod, or in this case a chopstick, cut it to length, and use that as your power button. I glue the USB hub in place so it's not just rattling around, and now it's time to unbox the ultra-wide display.
Nice.
The display comes with this HDMI control board, which connects via a ribbon cable. Now, I'm just going to jam this into the build, so to keep this from shorting on anything, I cover it with electrical tape.
Of course, electrical tape solves everything.
I also tape the ribbon cable in place. I don't want it to get smushed when I install the display. I used the USB cables in the video description to connect up the keyboard and the power to the HDMI control board. The HDMI cable connects to the control board via an adapter, and then to keep the control board from rattling around, I use some double stick tape. And really, that's
This dude is fucking happy with his tape. He likes his tape.
basically it with the hardware build. All we have to do is attach the display with some very thin strips of double stick tape. Yes, there are a lot of like adapters and cables hidden under the display, but I want this design to be easy to build without any soldering, and I have accomplished that. Other people can take this design and build off of it. It doesn't draw too much power, so you can make it battery powered. You could run Android and Word docs and make it a typing machine. It could run other single board computers. There are little notches in the back, so you can install a second display if that's something you want to do. I think I've succeeded, at least on the hardware side, in creating a base that other people can use as like a launching point for their own projects. And I also succeeded in reimagining that initial design in a way that's still cyberpunky and futuristic, but yet totally different. Alright, so that is the hardware out of the way. Onto the software. So this thing runs Ubuntu with the latest version of GNOME, and I have been unsuccessful getting this to scale properly with the 1920 by 510 display. Everything.
And I know, fanboys, you will come running out of, it's an uncommon fucking form factor. It's not standardized. And here's the thing, and it's already getting me a headache. If you have to make excuses after excuses why something is not working or not doing it the correct way, it may not be as good as you want it to be.
Out in a weird way, and it just doesn't look good. So don't build this or buy this unless you understand how to set custom resolutions in Linux, because the latest version of GNOME uses Wayland instead of 1x, and all the tutorials online use XRandR to set custom resolutions, but that doesn't work on Wayland. So I don't know how to make it work. Hopefully.
Yeah, you could use Xorg, as some of you Linux folks out there, why don't you use Xorg? Yes, you could, but again, you're now making an excuse. It's a valid excuse and you could do that, but it's now an excuse basically saying that, yeah, I know Linux is sucking for this, it's not just plug and play, but you can work around it. And again, if you have to make excuses, this just tells me that what you're making an excuse for is not suited for this situation, aka Linux.
Hopefully someone who's more experienced can comment down below on how to make the latest version of Ubuntu have a custom resolution.
Install the Xorg.
So in the end, this is just a hardware tutorial. It's not a complete end-to-end tutorial like I was hoping, but I still had a lot of fun with it. It's quite interesting to try to take a complicated one-off design and distill it down into a single part that you can easily, download online. And
yeah, I do like that. It's an interesting project. I've been looking a lot of at these like DIY, build your own people that invent stuff, weather stations. They instead of just going out and buying shit, they are using like Arduinos and Raspberry Pis to do some amazing things, and then of course 3D printers and stuff like that. And I'm sure if you go down here, people will already have, we already have here something with the resolution here. And here's the thing: if you are going to make a lot of excuses to make something look better, it's not that fucking good. I would feel on a form factor like this, I don't know if you can find a picture here, like a form factor like this, I think Android will probably fit better. Like Windows will probably not even be good at it either. I would run Android on this kind of like form factor, because the Android UI is kind of built to be in these weird fucking form factors anyway. But yeah, this is interesting. I kind of want to see what else this dude is doing here. You see all the crazy shit that he's making here. I think I watched, I can't even remember this video here I watched. This was actually quite kind of fun. They are really interesting, his videos here. So I'll have a link to his channel down below so you can go and get inspired to do your own little bit invention. See you all later. Bye bye.